Hey everyone, this is Chiron, and welcome back to another Billy Hatcher in the Giant Egg Any % tutorial. This video will be covering Dino Mountain Mission 1, which of course is the Golden Egg mission. This level is quite simple on face value, but it's a level that requires a lot of RNG and a lot of adapting as you sort of respond to what RNG patterns you're given to you, and it also has a branching path towards the end depending on how good your RNG was. So there's some stuff to talk about, some stuff you definitely need to be paying attention to and to understand. But before I get into that, let's run through the level once. So let's get into it. Cool, so yeah, level starts pretty simply. We're going to get to the golden egg, and it's going to be at the bottom of this slide essentially, after a couple waves of enemies. These enemies are pretty simple to kill. It's just a wave of 6 and then a dinosaur with 3 health. So we're just going to come over it like that, come to here where the dinosaur spawns and defeat it like so. Then we're going to grab our egg. I can't grab the egg apparently, I went all the way around like an idiot. So we've got cherries, which is good. I know I can just grab the fruit like that and mow all these enemies down like this. I now need to pick up a certain amount of fruit depending on the amount of chosen pineapples I got. I think I picked up way too much there. Yeah, I did. But that's fine. We still on a pretty good pace. And that's good enough for me. Now we're going to do a cool trick known as the tree bounce, where we're going to bounce off this tree to get right to the end of the level. And it's going to look like this. And then we're going to stand roughly here. We want to be careful where we hatch this outer because we can actually soft lock the game. So I'll explain that in a bit more detail when we get to it. It shouldn't happen once you are made aware that it's actually a thing, but yeah, it's something that needs to be brought up. Also, by going for the tree bounce, we can actually avoid a certain glitch, which is really kind of cool, but it's also very frustrating if you can't go for the tree bounce. We only go for the tree bounce if we actually get good RNG drops, which we did get there. So with that out of the way, let's break down the level and let's explain basically everything you need to know about this level. Alrighty, so now that we're going to run through the level, let's just talk about the start of the level and then we're going to get into some complicated stuff. So yeah, it's pretty simple. We're just going to turn our camera to the egg and grab it, mash through the text box and dash past this bridge. We're going to dash jump off the top of this slide just because it's a little bit faster than dashing down it. And then we're going to turn the camera over this way and dash through here. We kind of want to dash cancel before going through that first enemy just so it doesn't hit us. And then we're going to come to this line here because this is where the dinosaur's going to spawn, as you can see there. And then we're just going to kill it in 3 hits. And then we're going to try and dash jump up there. It just takes a bit of spacing to get that dash jump. It's not that difficult. You can do normal jumps up there if you want to. But because I'm on a timer, I kind of really can't explain stuff slowly here, which is a bit annoying. Yeah, I'd say dash jump up there, egg bounce if you're beginning. But yeah, that's the start of the level. It's pretty simple. Okay, so from this point on, I'm going to refer you to a video made by Ludovis, which is going to essentially explain how fruit RNG works and how to max out a golden egg in a bit of detail. It's like the theory behind it. But because the video is actually not out at the time of the recording, I do need to basically just brief through it, I guess. So what you need to know is that a golden egg takes roughly 48 points to max out, and it grows every 12 stages. So, whilst that might not make any sense right now because you think, how does the point system work? Well, that's where we explain it. So, every egg has a preference for fruit. If it doesn't prefer that fruit, small fruits are worth 1 point. If they prefer that fruit, it's worth 2. So essentially, a preferred fruit is worth double points. If it's a big fruit, then it's worth 5 points, and if it's a preferred big fruit, then it's worth 10 points. And that sounds a bit confusing on paper, but essentially, just know that preferred equal either 2 or 10, and non-preferred equals 1 or 5, depending on the sizes, of course. And as for a golden egg, the preferred fruits that we're looking for are cherries and pineapples. Cherries and pineapples are the good fruits for all golden eggs in this game. Now, with the routes we're about to take, I have counted that it should take roughly 49 points at minimum if you picked up every fruit. That's like the minimum amount of points you can get, which is fine because, as we said, the amount you need to max out your egg is 48, so you should have 1 left over, which is good. I'll just count through it right now so you get that idea. So we're not gonna like pick up the fruit as we go. Actually, we are. So pretend this is like, we're gonna pretend like this is all worst RNG, but that was good RNG. Ignore that part. But yeah, that's essentially 10 points because it's 2 times 5. There's 6 fruit here, so that's then gonna be 16 points. 21 points for the 5 points of the melon. Another 5 points for this banana. That makes it 26. We got 6 enemies here. That'll make our points 32. And a dinosaur here is going to give us 42 points. Yet again, ignoring the fact that we've already got a maxed out egg because we actually did get good RNG, we're just going to pretend that that isn't the case. And if we come over here, this is what happens if we don't get good RNG. We're going to end up coming over here to pick up these fruits in these boxes, in which there is, which I picked up very quickly, but there's basically 2 small fruit and a big fruit, none of which are good RNG, so that's an additional 7 points, which makes 49. So, what we can do with that research is we can work out how much fruit we need to pick up per level so we're not picking up any additional fruit. At a minimum, we want to be picking up all the fruit, but say if we get a cherry or a pineapple drop, then we can subtract 1 from the small waves of enemies. So like, say you ran through the wave of enemies and you saw 2 pineapples and 2 cherries. If you did pick up those cherries and pineapples in that group, then you could say pick up 4 because, you know, you have like 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 equals 6. You know, we want to make 6 points out of that first wave of enemies, and you can get that quicker by picking up less fruit if you pick up preferred fruit. And then you can do that again with the second wave. Say if they dropped 1 pineapple, then you can just pick up 5 instead of 6. So if you get worst RNG, then you can like kind of calculate it like that. And the routing is going to be a bit more complicated. I'm going to run through it and count as we go along so you get an idea of how it works now. It sounds a bit complicated, but I think Ludafizz's video will cover that in a bit more detail and it'll make a lot more sense. Cool, so let's do some counting with Kai. We're going to move these enemies and we're going to count how many pineapple cherries we got. So we can see there that we got roughly 3 pineapple cherry drops, so we can pick up 3 fruit if we picked up all those. Which means we could just pick up all the cherries and pineapples on the ground there. The dinosaur dropped melons, so we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now essentially we should be at, if we count the 3, that's 6 for the cherries and pineapples, that's 10 for the melon drops, and that's 5 for the other melon drops. So that's basically, maths in my head is not working. That's 21 points, yeah. So then we can mow through, get 26 points from this banana. And then we can mow through these enemies. And I saw 2 pineapples there, so we can pick up 4 fruit. Which is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we got good RNG. That'll take us way over the flow. And we've got a maxed out egg. So that's like basically how fruit counting works. I think that makes more sense to you now. This is just example fruit counting right now. So with that, we can actually start explaining the route level and how it's going to work essentially. So let's get right into that. Right, so you probably saw in the example that I went for a bounce off a tree to get to the final platform, but in those examples, in those explanations of the fruit RNG, I didn't do that. Well, that's because, to put it simply, we are going to be doing the gate skip if we don't get good RNG because there's extra fruit behind there, and we're going to go for the tree bounce if we get good RNG because our egg should be fully grown. So, let's play this cutscene and see what happens. So we got apples, which isn't good. We ideally want the first dinosaur to drop us good RNG because we don't need good RNG from both dinosaurs, we only need it from one, ideally. And if we get it from the first one, then we know what we're working with. If we get it from the second one, we've already picked up a lot more fruit than we needed to compensate for getting bad RNG on the first dinosaur. So basically, we now know that we're going to be working with the idea that we didn't have good RNG, so we're going to go. So we know we've got 10 points there, we've got 3 cherries right there, so we're just going to pick up 6 points there. Pick up more if you don't get as many cherry drops as I just did there. And then we can pick up the apples. Usually the order in which I pick up the fruit is based off where the giant fruit is. If the giant fruit is close to the smaller fruits, then I will pick it up. If it's not, if it's further away, then I'll pick up the small fruit first, and then I'll go to the bigger fruit. It's just because, like, I just try and take the best line possible. Also, remember to pick up that melon because it's important. Then we're going to go through here and pick up this banana. And then we're going to move through all these enemies. And I think we roughly pick up around 4 here. And then we got bananas. That's fine. I can teach you to gate skip. We're going to come through this ring. Now, I want you to be careful here. We're going to not do any additional movement from this point. We don't want to move from the spot. We're just going to egg bounce and roll and immediately jump out of this. And the reason why we're doing that is because you can, if you have a full egg, you can actually get hit by that meatball that sort of flew from the sky there. And if that happens, you're going to die. And dying this level is really punishing, so ideally you just don't want to be dying in Dino 1. So basically, if you egg bounce that rolls and roll on that spot, the meatball shouldn't hit you because the meatball basically comes out of the air when you get close to the edges. And that sort of just spaces you perfectly so it doesn't ever happen to you. You can roll down here if you want to, try and get an IGU like that, or you can just get up from the top and dash down. So now that we haven't got good RNG, that's fine. What we can do is we can come here, we can egg bounce around this gate like so, and roll. I'd ideally do some camera work if we can, and as you can see, there's enough fruit here to max out our egg. Perfect. So let's just talk about that gate skip a little bit more. It's quite an easy one. Because you're egg bouncing, you have quite a lot of time in the air, and that fence is quite forgiving. Like, if you roll into it, it might push you through. Ideally, if you're starting off, I would have the camera like this, and work your way around like so you can see what you're doing. That's basically one thing you can do. But, you know, if you have the feel for it, then you can do it however you want. I would say a lot of getting consistent in this game is working the camera in your favour, so if you ideally want to turn the camera so you can see where you're going, then do so. If, for example, your egg isn't maxed out yet because of reasons like I didn't count the fruit properly, then you can just dash over here, and there's a cherry in this corner that you can grab. And then we want to make our way to this hoop. And I think I was saying in the example that there's basically a frame perfect B press you need to do if you don't go for the tree bounce. Which, yes, that is true. And essentially how that works is that the Alder for some reason doesn't like to interact with this green hoop. If the green hoop is bouncing up and down, then you can't talk to the Alder unless you talk to the Alder frame 1. Now, I don't have any tips for talking to the Alder on the first frame. I basically just mash the hell out of the B button during the cutscene and pray I get it. So that's what I would recommend you do as well. So come out here, hatch, mash B towards the end of that cutscene and try and get the frame perfect talk. If you don't get it, you kind of have to just wait a couple seconds before you can talk to the Alder. It's frustrating, but it's like, it's not devastating, you know. As for hatching the Alder, do not hatch the Alder in the middle. This is because there's a soft lock that can occur in the game. If you basically, if an emblem lands on you whilst you're on the ground, frame 1, and you know, if you activate the end cutscene, the game just doesn't know what to do and it soft locks. It's a very frustrating thing that can happen, but it's something that once you know it's there, it should never happen again because you know, alright, I'm just stay away from the middle. So whenever I'm doing this level, I basically will hatch like on the edges of this platform just because it's as far away from the middle as you can. So now let's just do that final movement and hatch this Elder. That's basically everything you need to know for like bad RNG. We'll talk about good RNG when we get it. So let's hatch the Elder. Remember, staying far away from the middle as possible, just to avoid any soft locks. So from this point, I'm just going to mash B and see if I get it. If I don't get it, it's fine. So just know you need to do it frame 1. I got it. Nice. You can talk to the Elder once the hoop stops bouncing. And then you can just turn around and grab the emblem. But we're not going to do that just yet because there's more to talk about. So I'm not even holding anything, Billy's just moving around that tree. That's cool. Alright, let's get on to that other stuff. Cool, so we actually got good RNG here, so we can actually talk about how we're going to route good RNG. So, right off the bat, we know we've got double cherries, so we can say for certain that we're going to get 20 points from that. Because, you know, it's 5 times 2 for being a preferred fruit, and it's times 2 because there's 2 fruits, so it's 20 points. There's 5 points with the melon in front of us, and there'll be 5 points with the banana to the right of us, which is going to be 30 points. Then we have the big dino drop, which could either be 10 points or it could be 20, depending on it preferred, but we're going to assume that it's going to be the worst RNG because that's more likely to happen. It's a 5 in 7 chance as compared to a 2 in 7. So, yeah, so we're going to assume we're going to get 40 points there. So if we want to route this optimally, then we can pick up roughly 2 fruits from the first wave, get ourselves up to 27 points off the first wave, and then up to 32 once we pick up the banana. And then we can pick up all 6 fruits from the second wave because they're usually a lot closer together. It's easier to pick up all the fruit, especially if you've got a bigger egg. And then we can pick up the dino drops to max out our egg. So it's going to look like this. We're going to get these cherries, pick up 2 fruits. You might want to just pick up extra if you're beginning, just in case you do miss a fruit grab or some fruit despawns. That's totally understandable. But if you want to like do this fast, then you're going to do it like this. Then we're going to pick up this. Now we should be at 32 points. If we pick up all 6, we should be at 38. And as we got some cherries and pineapples there, how many do we get? We got 3. We can just go 1, 2, 3, 4, turn around, pick up these apples, max out our egg. Awesome. And of course, you get way faster time if you took your time, not took your time, if you just knew what you're looking for and got it right away. But because I was taking my time, it's a bit slower than what it looked like. And yet again, we're going to do that movement normally. And as you see, we don't get hit by the meatball. Roll down here, try to get the IDU. We didn't get it, that's fine. Now we have the tree bounce. The tree bounce is actually kind of difficult, but it's not too difficult. Let's start with that, what we just did there. Essentially, we're basically egg bouncing with a little bit of spacing away from the ball. We hold towards it, and at the peak we roll, and as you see, we bump into the tree to kill our speed. This roll may take some time to get used to, because it's very easy to mess up, like so. But I would just say, roll at the peak, and you should be good. If you can't get that, then there is this strat that Pedro found, where if you basically bounce against the tree, nothing will happen, you see. But if you hold into it at the peak of your jump, you're just going to go zoom up here. This is pretty good for like walkathon. I know walkathon's a missed category and no one really talks about it, but if you want to tree bounce on walkathon, then you can just do that. And it's a pretty cool trick. So now, let's talk about the tree bounce. So the reason why I say tree bounce is quite advanced is because you can do something like this. And as you can see, we only just narrowly made it up. If I was on the wrong side of the egg, I probably would have missed. And it's very easy to mess this up if you're not doing the proper setup. Because there's so much can go wrong here. You can bonk into this tree, lose your egg like that, have to do it again. As I said, there's a lot that can mess you up, especially when that tree is there, that tree over there. But fortunately, I have found a consistent setup for this, which I will be showing off. Essentially, we're going to look at this X on where Billy is standing. And as you know, every X has a cross section where all the lines go through. Basically, I'm going to put that cross section on the 9 o'clock of this X shadow from this camera angle. We kind of want it in this camera angle. I guess just look at how I've done it and try and line it up similar to this. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's roughly that. Or if you're confused by when I said 9 o'clock on the shadow, I basically mean make sure the cross section's on the leftmost edge of the shadow of the egg. So, like that. And then at this point, we're just going to hold forward. And then when we're roughly here, we're going to hold into the tree. And then hold away as we get launched. And that should push us into it. So let's do it again. Let's line up our camera. Perfect. And as you can see, that flies you onto this platform beautifully. That's how I like to do the trick. Because if you get like too much speed into the tree, it still works perfectly, but if you get way too much, you can like get a very shallow jump out of it. I think shallow is the word I'm looking for. It's just very inconsistent, and I find this X spot is probably the most consistent way of doing it. You line up to the leftmost edge, go down to the center of the tree, hold away, hold in, hold away, you get around it. But sometimes, yeah, you may get scenarios where your egg goes up there, but you fall down. What I would just do is grab this blue egg and go around normally. I don't really have any advice for fixing it, really. I just say just do it that way. It is kind of rough when this does happen. So I'd recommend just trying to learn the spot with the X, because it gets you on the... it gets you pretty far on the platform, so you don't have to worry about falling off or anything like that. As you can see, I go over here, and that's pretty great. So we're just going to hatch here. This is where we want to be facing for the outer hatch. And now I think we can finish off the level, because I think I've basically explained everything you need to know. There isn't really much to look out for that I haven't explained. It's just know how to do the tree bounce, know how to count fruit, and you should be good. So yeah, let's grab that emblem, and then let's finish off this recording. Also, yeah, as we didn't do the take the hoop, we don't have to worry about that frame 1 B press, we can take it as slow as we want, but ideally we still want to get it frame 1 just to save frames. So I've been Chiron, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked this content, please follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Chiron for more Billy Hatcher speedrunning stuff and things. I'm trying to grow my channel. I didn't really think about the content that I was making. That's why I said stuff and things. But I do cool Billy Hatcher content. If you want to speedrun this game, join the Discord. The Discord link will be in the description, and it'll also be on speedrun.com/BH along with this guide series in a playlist. If you haven't watched the other speedrunning videos yet, like on this tutorial, yeah, please watch them, because a lot of this may seem a bit technical, but it's because I've already explained this in so many other tutorials, and I've done a basic movements tutorial that will basically help you get an understanding of what I'm doing precisely. So yeah, that's everything. See you boys, thank you for watching.